everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fignuts podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 8. If you're keeping track, it's Episode 108. I'm Craig.
I am Britt.
And
Craig,
Britt,
welcome back.
Welcome back indeed, sir.
Yeah, so I am on location again, so I apologize if I sound a little bit different today. We are having some torrential downpours down here in Connecticut, and you have never met a worse driver in any form of weather than I am. So I said to Craig, I'm going to sit here and drink beer and talk football with you. So how are you today, Craig?
I'm good.
I'm doing okay, but you know what would make my night a little bit better?
What would make it better?
That opening of that beer. I don't know if the mic caught that or not, but I am drinking tonight. I have a Pumpkinhead by Shipyard Brewing. It's my second favorite pumpkin beer, and so I'm popping open one of those on my end. What do you got tonight?
Tonight I have a new beer suggested to me by the owner of a package store, if you will.
Oh, is it our buddy up on the hill?
Yes.
All right, what do you got?
This is by Sloop Brewing. It's Green Island Tropical IPA.
Oh, I have heard of this. That's actually Sloop is actually a brand I've heard is growing well. So I'm not going to bother doing a review of Pumpkinhead because I've reviewed it before. It's a very solid pumpkin ale, and I know it's a little early for Craig, but it is not for me.
I got a week.
Yeah, you've got a weekend. September 1st, folks, is Saturday. So,
right.
Sunday.
You're right.
Sunday.
There's another week in August.
Yeah, no, wait a minute. Is it Sunday? I got to look at a calendar right now. Get myself confused.
Right?
Sunday is September 1st, or that's the 2nd. No, the 1st is Sunday. The 1st is Sunday, and that is our fantasy draft.
That is. So
Craig will be able to have a pumpkin beer if he so chooses at our annual fantasy draft. So tell me about this beer from Sloop.
So this beer, it looks like a tropical drink. It's not very dark, but it's not an amber.
Mm-hmm.
It's yellowish, but there's very little light penetration. I can't see my fingers behind the glass.
Is it greenish?
You know what? In the right light, you could say there's a tint to it.
Because I think Lawson's is now putting out a what they're calling a green IPA, and I haven't been brave enough to try it yet, but supposedly it has a green tint to it as well. So, well, give us some nose and give us a taste.
Nose, it's citrusy.
Okay.
It's pretty basic citrus IPA smell. Taste wise, interesting. It's very smooth for an IPA because it is brewed with oats.
Oh, I like that.
So it is smooth, and there's definitely, I get some like guava on the back end, and then it slowly kind of dries out, but not like a normal double IPA like dry out kind of thing.
Very nice. So you get that dryness, but not overwhelmed by it.
Right.
Because there are, so many really great tasting IPAs, and then 30 seconds after you've had a sip, you're like, oh my God, my mouth is like the Sahara.
Pretty much.
And what the hell did I do to myself? So Craig will stay off of the glory that is pumpkin spice for another couple of days.
There.
I am on board with it, and there is just so. I'm gonna level with Craig. Craig, I'm gonna level with you and our listeners. This morning, I was sitting at my computer, and I'm thinking to myself as I'm doing my day job, man, what the hell are we going to talk about tonight? There's one or two big pieces of news, but there isn't a whole lot going on this week. This week between the end of the preseason with the last round of preseason games and the start of the season is usually pretty quiet. And then I opened up 2 sites and found 30 things to talk about. But let's start where we always start after the beer, which is burning hot take questions. Craig, giving or receiving?
I will give.
Please, what do you got for me?
First off, did you see the news out of San Francisco?
This is the Jerick McKinnon news?
Yes.
Briefly, fill me in.
So his rehab from his knee injury is not going well.
Okay.
They don't know when he's going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
How big of an effect is that going to be on San Francisco?
Oh.
Considering they're running back by committee, and we don't know really how they're going to be at all this year.
So let's discuss who else is there, because that really is what matters to me. We know Matt Breida is still there, right?
Right.
Who else is on that team? I honestly, that's how little I have cared about the 49ers. Breida's there, McKinnon's there, Tevin Coleman.
Tevin Coleman's there, and then the rest seem to be pretty much backups.
And then also appearing in this film.
Right.
So But where do they go now? Do they go to Breida or do they go to Tevin Coleman? Do they go to Breida long enough for him to get himself injured, which is what he kind of usually does? Do they go straight to Tevin
You
Coleman?
remember when Burrito was the answer in San Francisco?
Yes.
He was
Yeah,
for a little while.
and that's the problem. San Francisco running backs, and you're going to hate the name I'm about to invoke, but since Frank Gore, they just can't stay healthy. And, remember when Frank Gore was the worst injury risk on that entire team? And
Yes. And he's
there's
still
some
playing.
sort. Yeah, he's still playing, and he's been relatively healthy since. But yeah, Matt Breida is listed as the one right now. So it's Breida, then Coleman. They do not have McKinnon on this list. So, I mean, I'm not worried.
Fantasy-wise, would you just stay away from San Francisco runs?
In general, yes. If I had to take one, I would take Breida, and I probably would grab Coleman because I do think it's a matter of time before Matt Breida wanders off the field 3 carries into a game because he's only done that a couple of times already. But yes, in general, San Francisco is an offense I'm shying away from in general. They have a lot of high ceiling, no floor guys. Jimmy Garoppolo has been inconsistent as coming back from injury.
There's always
We
George
keep
Kittle.
Yes, George Kittle has been fantastic, but he's got a strong injury history. Marquise Goodwin worries the crap out of me. Can you name any other wideouts on that team other than Marquise Goodwin?
Without looking it up, no.
I have it in front of me. Richie James Jr., Jalen Hurd, and Malik Henry are all there.
That's where Jalen Hurd went?
Yep, but
Huh.
none of those guys interest me. I'm just let's just call it what it is. If we try hard enough, we could sit here and find a fault with every player in the NFL.
True.
Everybody has got some sort of risk. But for those who don't know the terms about floors and ceilings, floor is what you can expect your guy to score at a minimum with, barring some sort of complete upheaval. Ceiling is what their max is. Some guys are high ceiling and high floor. That means they're good and they have potential to be fantastic, aka Patrick Mahomes. I mean, if Patrick Mahomes scores under 15 to 20 points a game in most formats, that would be considered exceptional. So 15 points is probably his floor. But he also threw 50 touchdowns last year, so his ceiling is very high. Some guys don't have that kind of variability. For me, Matt Breida is a high ceiling but very low floor guy. His injury history is too severe for me to consider he has a higher floor. But if he does stay healthy, he could be fantastic. The key is how much risk do you want to take? And that's when I look at the San Francisco 49ers offense, there is a lot of high ceiling. These guys could be fantastic. They could be all top 10 across the board. Marquise Goodwin could break out. Jimmy Garoppolo could be a top 5 fantasy quarterback. But they also could be standing on a trap door that just opens underneath them and they're all of a sudden in the pit of doom. I was looking for more of the consistent guys towards the middle with higher ceilings, the guys who aren't standing on doors. And again, this is normally you talk aside from injury, but when you have an injury history, you have to consider it. So yeah, I'm kind of shying away. I do like George Kittle, but I'm taking it with a grain of salt because when you've got that big of a cliff between the big 3 tight ends and everybody else, you pick the wrong one of the big 3, and that's the one guy who gets hurt, you're screwed. Wouldn't I rather just take a couple of mid-level guys and see which one of them decides to make it into the top 5? Because here's the reality, folks. As bad as the tight end group is, somebody outside of Kittle, Ertz, and Kelsey has to finish in the top 5. Mathematically speaking, 2 people who are not on that list, at least 2 people have to finish in the top 5 tight ends this year.
Yes.
So if I can grab 2 or 3 lower to mid-end tight ends, like the David Njokus of the world, and all of a sudden they have a really great season, then I can get them later and not waste a pick on Kittle. And if Njoku goes down in week 3, it's not as big of a hit to my team as if I lose Kittle. So what are your thoughts on this offense? Can you trust anybody here?
Honestly, no. I mean, if Garoppolo didn't get hurt last year, I would say yes, but he didn't look phenomenal in preseason.
No, he didn't.
I didn't
know
preseason isn't the best judge of a player, in general. But it didn't give anyone a lot of confidence. So yeah, right now I would say Kittle's probably the only option you have there. And
Yeah.
I would lean towards Coleman, even though he has concussion history. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just
rough.
it's not a team of avoiding like I'm avoiding most of the Redskins and most of the Dolphins. Those teams to me are open tire fires. They're the only question is who burns out faster and bigger. One of them is a dumpster fire and one of them is a Springfield tire fire. I don't know which one is which, but we'll find out. We'll find out. All right, question for you.
All right.
So, this time of year, all the different websites put forth deals with different fantasy competitors.
Right.
Sign up at DraftKings and make a minimum deposit and get a free subscription here or get this double matching bonus. There's all these offers.
Yep.
I got one the other day. I won't say what site it was from, but they said if you sign up and deposit $10 at any of our community partners, you get a free 6-month subscription. I'm going to tell you the 4 sites that I was offered to sign up at, and I want you to tell me which one intrigues you the most without knowing anything else. And you may already know all 4 of these sites.
Okay.
So the first 2 are predictable. FanDuel and DraftKings.
Okay.
Site number 3 was Yahoo Daily Fantasy.
Okay.
Site number 4 was called Monkey Knife Fight.
I'm sorry, what?
Monkey Knife Fight.
This is a real site.
Yes. So now knowing your answer because of your reaction already, if without any other information you had to drop $10 into one of those sites, which one would you go with?
It would be the 4th one.
Monkey Knife Fight is an actual, I believe it's a prop bet company, but they're based out of Canada, and we do not have the laws in Connecticut to support them. I tried to open an account with Monkey Knife Fight. I tried and got told I would be breaking the law and they wouldn't open my account.
Oh, sad.
But I did try Monkey Knife Fight. And of course, that just brings me back to the Simpsons episode where Mo and Homer go out on the boat and they have monkey knife fights.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Is that not the best DFS site ever? What DFS site has a better name than Monkey Knife?
That is. I do not know of one. That's
Monkey Knife Fight. If you're listening to us, find a way to make it legal for us to do something with you. We would love to work with you based off of your name alone.
That's true.
Off of your name alone, we are open to signing any sort of mutual promotional deal right now because you won the internet with that one for me. I just wish I could have made an account. So, yeah. So let follow up question on that.
Yeah.
So of the other 3 sites, because obviously Monkey Knife Fight can't be used, which is your favorite DFS site?
Ooh. Over the last 2 in general, I think I've just had better results from FanDuel.
Fair.
I mean, I still use DraftKings. I still like it, but overall, I think even though FanDuel's salaries for DFS are a little outrageous sometimes.
Yeah, they tend to be a little bit more to the extremes, but that works for and against you too. Their value plays tend to be a little cheaper.
True. It's both.
So yeah, I've
never used Yahoo, so I probably should.
Well, there are guys out there who will give you a free subscription to their site if you just put $10 into a Yahoo account. So I did because I'm always got my ear to the ground for more information. So, all right, last question to you.
All right, so I don't know if you saw it on Twitter a couple days ago.
Okay.
A former NFL fullback named Leron McClain.
Oh, I did. I did see this.
Had a whole tirade on Twitter about how his health is degrading and the NFL is ignoring him.
Yeah.
And he's reached out for help. Do you think, and now, then last week before, we had the whole thing with Antonio Brown and his helmet.
Yep.
Do you think it's finally come to the time for the NFL to finally officially admit concussions are real and set up a whole after your NFL career over support system for any player?
I agree. I think it is. All right, so there's a whole bunch of levels to this.
Right.
Number one, I do agree he's being ignored. And I don't know his case
and
personally.
Fullbacks get hit a lot.
Fullbacks get hit a lot,
and they block.
And they don't have the name recognition.
No.
So the bottom line is, when I saw the headline, his name wasn't even in the headline. The headline was former NFL player complains league is ignoring head injuries. And so I opened it and I had to see who it was. If that had been Dan Marino, his name would have been in the headline. It would have been Marino complains of head injuries. But again, it comes to, so his point is somewhat validated just by how the story was handled by the press.
True.
He's being ignored. It looks like he's being ignored. He's crying out for help. He's clearly got a mental issue that he believes has been caused by football. I don't know him, so I don't know if it has or not. But yes, and here's the thing. The league and the Players Association are going into negotiations right now. Maybe, just maybe, the Players Association should worry less about the frickin' salary cap and more about the long-term benefits for its employees. I have never seen a union in my life that is, and again, I work in employment. It's what I do for a living. I work with people who are looking for and trying to keep jobs. It's what I do. I work with unions every day. I have never seen one as disinterested in retirement as the NFL Players Association. The NFL Players Association is solely focused on getting money today, upfront, and immediately. There is nothing they do, in my opinion, based on what they've seen towards long-term health benefits, and that is disgusting. That's what I got.
No, I agree. I think a lot of them know what happens, so that's why. I mean, I can kind of see their take on wanting the money up front.
Yes,
a little bit, but yeah, they definitely need something officially and organized after the fact.
Yeah. So while they're sitting there arguing when people can become free agents and the franchise tag, which, as we know, I mean, we haven't talked about it very much, but there's even been talk about running backs trying to form their own union separate from the NFLPA, because the way the system is set up with your initial contract, essentially, running back careers are very brief. Very brief. The guys who last more than 8 or 9 years, the Frank Gores of the world, are very rare. But if you come out at 22 years old into the NFL, that first contract is taking you through the majority of your career because you're going to have 4 years under this rookie deal, and then you could be franchised twice. So before you have any option in where you can go and what you can do and how much you can test the open market for, in some situations, you are in the last 2 years of your career.
Yeah.
Because the common conception is 30 years old, you're done as a running back. So you're telling me, like guys like Zeke Elliott, who would be like, I think almost a year, like 3 or 4 months shy of his 29th birthday when he becomes a free agent under the current system if they franchised him twice. You're telling me Zeke Elliott's going to walk out at 29 years old with 6 years under his belt and some team is going to go, yeah, we're going to give you a 5-year deal? No.
That doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. But that is where that's where the Players Association is focused. How about focusing on life after football? How about that? How about reducing the fact that we have these CTEs and people have actually committed suicide because they don't know how to live life after football?
Yeah, I think Junior Seau tried to kill himself twice before he finally
Junior Seau is a fantastic example of this.
He drove his car off a cliff and lived.
The dude just didn't know what to do with himself. And whether that is related to head injury or not, it's a bigger issue that both sides of this need to recognize. So when I sit there and I hear we may not have football in 2020 because these guys can't agree how much Ezekiel Elliott deserves to be paid in his 3rd year, I get PO'd because a lot of guys don't even make it to their 3rd year. And those guys or those guys have serious injuries and they don't make it to the 3rd year. Look at but we're going to talk about Andrew Luck in a second. Look at Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck has a life ahead of him. But if he were an offensive lineman in the same position, his name would not even be discussed. No. We would not be. There would be no media coverage on it.
There's been several offensive linemen that are retired because they just are tired of getting hit.
Yes. And so what is the Players Association doing for any of them? The NHL Players Association has retirement benefits and pensions. There was a fantastic article a couple of weeks ago, and I cannot remember the player's name, but the guy was a former first-round pick, I think, in 1996, and he's been out of the league since like 2002, but he developed serious mental health issues.
The NFL or the NHL?
This is NHL. NHL. So in hockey, he developed serious mental health issues. Since he's ended up homeless and on the street in Canada, the league sent out representation from both the league and the Players Association. They set him up with housing. They guaranteed his pension was going into a controlled fund for a while. They actually did something for somebody who was retired.
How about
I
that?
don't I don't see that out of the NFL. I don't think the NFL cares about the people who have come before them. They care about the people
No.
who are here now, and that really bothers me.
Yeah, no. It's definitely a whole different mindset the NFL has compared to NHL.
It's terrible. It drives me
It
nuts.
is. It is.
So, all right, let's get on to the main stuff because there's a ton going on. The good news is, Craig, we are not on a strict time limit today.
Oh, good.
So we might have a few extra minutes. As long as we have stuff to talk about, I will continue talking. Well, as long as I have stuff to talk about and there's beer, I
There
will
you go.
continue talking. So let's address the elephant in the room. We got the Andrew Luck retirement.
That's right.
So Andrew Luck Saturday, apparently, or the day before, tells the team, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. This whole injury, pain, rehab thing is too much. I'm done. He tells Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett leaves the conversation with a positive attitude. Unfortunately, the news leaks to the media while the Colts are on the field Saturday night, resulting in Andrew Luck getting booed off the field at halftime. So
Yep.
what was originally supposed to be Sunday at 3 o'clock, a planned press event, suddenly becomes, holy crap, get everyone in the room immediately after the game. We need to control this. And Andrew Luck stands up and retires.
Right.
He's gotten some love. He's gotten some hate. Craig,
May
first
or may not
off,
have got his tires slashed.
really?
That was a rumor going around. I haven't seen anything confirming it totally, but apparently.
So what is your personal take on this so far? Craig, how are you left feeling from this?
My personal take, if he's been injured a lot since he started playing in the NFL.
Very true.
He's been sacked a lot. And I know that other quarterbacks have been sacked a lot as well, but everyone, it doesn't, you can fall down a flight of stairs and be fine. You can someone can trip on the sidewalk and be fine, and then someone else trips on the sidewalk and they can break their hip.
Yep.
So everyone's different.
Yeah.
He's been hit a lot. He had a lacerated kidney, so he was peeing blood. That's
That's
good.
always pleasant.
No.
Yeah. I do that sometimes.
He's had this calf thing, the shoulder thing, and now I this really can't compare it, but I played football for 3 years,
Mhm.
and parts of me still hurt.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine the kind of pain he's in
Mhm.
for it to be as bad as for him to say, you know what, I'm done. And I
Yeah.
have to respect the fact that he's looking at his quality of life and say, you know what, because when you're in a lot of pain, money has no relevance to you,
Yes.
at all.
That's
You
true.
could, when I had a pinched nerve in my neck, if
Mhm.
you told me, you have to live with it for a year, but here's $10 million, I would have said, fuck you, get out. 'Cause
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. So I completely respect him for doing what he thinks he has to do, and then though fantasy wise, this totally changes the Colts, but that's a different story.
The Colts immediately went from, in Vegas, a 9.5 win total to 6.5, literally in minutes. 3 wins from a borderline playoff team. Well, 10 wins will usually get you into the playoffs in most situations. From a playoff team to a sub 500 team in minutes. My issue is this, and this is the answer that we've never gotten a clear answer on this, and I've heard various reports. When did he talk to the Colts? Because he said very clearly in the press conference, after 2016, I promised myself I wouldn't do this again. So that was almost 3 years ago.
Right.
So did you have a conversation with them before this week about how you were feeling? Because if you didn't, then I have to be a little bit upset with you for not having some forthright planning. Now, the report I've heard, the most reliable report I've seen, was verified by somebody. Somebody at my curling club gave me the report, and I can't remember where, but he said if you look at this source, I think it was NBC or something like that, they're reporting that he spoke to them in March. He came to the ownership group and said to the owner and to Frank Reich, to Irsay and Reich, here's how I'm feeling. I want you guys to know this going into the draft. If you feel like you need to go get a quarterback, or you feel like you need to get more offensive line to try and keep me healthier, so be it. But this is how I'm feeling. This is how I will react if I probably get hurt again. If he was up front with them in March, he walks away from this completely clean in my book. And a lot of people have been like, oh no, he gave up on the team. I've seen people quit jobs for less. I've seen it. If he was up front with the team and they weren't blindsided by this, and I get the feeling they weren't, then I'm fine with it. If he walked in on Saturday morning and said, I just talked to Jacoby, I'm done. Schedule a press conference, let's do this, I got a problem.
Yeah.
The fact that he is not returning his bonuses and the team is like, keep your money, says to me that this was handled the right way.
Right.
Jim Irsay has never been kind on Twitter or in social media at all. If he thought he was wronged in this, he'd be all over the boards.
Oh, yeah, you would have heard about it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to lean towards the they knew in advance, and I'm fine with it. Fantasy-wise, this screwed us royally. We just did a dynasty startup, and Andrew Luck was our quarterback. And it's a super flex. So everyone in a 12-team league grabbed at least 3 quarterbacks. Do the math, folks. That's 36 of them. Not everybody has starters.
Someone draft Fitz.
Probably. I know we don't have him.
No,
so I have to drop Andrew Luck. There is no quarterbacks out there to pick up. The best quarterback available, according to the waiver wire, is C.J. Beathard. I am not picking up C.J. Beathard. So now I'm like, well, our flex guy has to be our new starting quarterback, and that's Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold is now our dynasty starting quarterback, which is not bad if he turns out as planned, right? But here's the problem. I look at the backup quarterbacks. Our backup quarterbacks are Tyrod Taylor and Blake Bortles. If anything happens to Sam Darnold, we literally have no one to put in that slot. And there's no one on the waiver wire because everyone's carrying 35 quarterbacks. So our fantasy season and a dynasty startup is shot. And if Sam Darnold turns out to be the real deal, fantastic. Yeah, we may be able to make a trade later in the season, move some talent to try and get another backup quarterback, and we'll be in better shape for next year. But if anything happens to Sam Darnold, anything at all, we are dead in the water.
All right, just so you know, the other league we're in, the one that Cinch drafted,
yes,
we have Jacoby Brissett.
Okay, so there's a story behind that.
Oh, okay, I didn't look at that league before.
So we had Andrew Luck in that league. So the news breaks on Saturday night. I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm not going to lie to our listeners. I'm 3 beers in on a Saturday night. I'm having a nice, relaxing Saturday night. I'm not doing any work. I got Mystery Science Theater reruns on my television. I am just brainless out. I'm not even watching. I was not even watching, I think, at that point, a preseason game. I don't even think I had football on. I was that tuned out. And the text goes off. Adam Schefter's reporting Andrew Luck will announce retirement. Holy crap. Copy it. Send it to everyone who's a podcast contributor. Send to our podcast thread. A second later, Cinch writes me back. Crap. Should I pick up Brissett? Now, I didn't even have to look at that team. That's the Beat the Addicts League, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is the No, that's the Eli Championship. That's the Mandrew NFL League. So, I didn't have to look at it. I knew what he meant. He meant, we have Andrew Luck. What the hell should I do? So I wrote to him, yes, go get him. And then I realized that as much as I love Cinch, these apps are still a little bit new to him. So I said to myself, I have it already saved on my phone. I can go in and pick up Jacoby Brissett and maybe get there faster than Cinch. Maybe. But worst case scenario, 2 of us working on it is better than 1.
Right.
I go to open the Sleeper app because this league is hosted by Sleeper. The Sleeper app won't connect. Refresh it. No. Refresh it again. No. Force close the app and reopen it. No. Restart my phone. Open Sleeper. No. Everyone and their mother crashed the Sleeper app on Saturday night trying to either A, drop Andrew Luck,
pick someone up,
B, pick up Jacoby Brissett, or C, do all of the above. Crashed the app. Meanwhile, somehow miraculously on his end, Cinch gets in and picks up Jacoby Brissett and drops Andrew Luck. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. But for a moment there, I was like, holy crap. It literally broke the internet for about a half hour. And people were bitching about it all over the sites. I couldn't get in here to make my move. Sorry, folks. Stuff like this happens.
All the time.
It just does. It just does. So, I think you got to add Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett is a must-add if you had Andrew Luck, but he's gone by now. So, sorry. In pretty much all formats, because this is what happens when news breaks on a Saturday and we don't have a chance to record till a Wednesday. But Jacoby's gone. This happens. Definitely everyone. I heard one analyst say the easy way to talk about how this downgrades all the Colts targets is to move everybody down exactly 2 rounds from where you had them. Drop Marlon Mack to the 5th. Drop, I think they said Ty has to go to the 6th. They said the only person who goes down for Ty was going in the 3rd and 4th in a lot of leagues, a lot of 10-man leagues, 12-man leagues.
I still don't think Ty will drop that far.
Well, what they are talking about, the biggest fantasy impact from the Andrew Luck, obviously other than Andrew Luck, is Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron caught nothing when he was out the last time. Nothing. Those games he missed, was it last year? Because he was in Detroit the year before that, wasn't he? This is Ebron's 2nd year with the Colts. So Doyle and Brissett seem to have a lot more chemistry than Ebron does with him. Mm-hmm. So if you've got shares of Ebron's value is tanking. Now, that being said, again, this is a very thin tight end pool. If Ebron is going to drop to the 10th round, I'll take it as my 2nd tight end. We'll do it.
Yeah, he's definitely a good backup, or maybe a flex if you really need it for a bye week.
Yeah. So the other bad news from Andrew Luck is there is one best ball league where I accidentally put down the phone in the middle of the draft, and the only quarterback on the best ball team is Andrew Luck.
Oops.
So that best ball team league is pretty much dead to me right now.
I'm actually really quick side. I'm actually introduced my family to best ball this year.
Oh, really? How'd they like it?
We're still trying to do the draft. It's like 4 hours between picks.
So I know your family pretty well. Cousins, uncles, what do you got?
My brother, former sister-in-law, my niece, and...
Really? Well, I'm not surprised. You have the one nephew who we talked a lot about fantasy football with, the one who used to work at Hops.
Yep.
I'm not surprised. I would not be surprised. I did not know your brother did fantasy football, so that's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. So, so that's the Andrew. I mean, you just got everybody's got.
We won't even talk about the President Fox.
Oh, don't get me. No, that's a rant. If I start going on that, that's a rant.
Time if you want.
Let's just suffice to say there are individuals in the paid analyst field who think that they're Howard Stern, and they're not.
No,
Stern
is Howard Stern.
Hot takes are things that people disagree with, but are possibly true.
Right. Things
like Baker Mayfield may not be a top 10 quarterback this year, which is a Craig feeling. Right. Craig feels that way. That's contrary to popular belief, but it's possible. Saying Andrew Luck just pulled off the most millennial thing of all time anymore, and then doubling down on it the next day. Oh my God! Did you watch his follow-up? We're not going to use the guy's name.
I didn't watch the follow-up.
I watched the 4-minute follow-up.
Sum it up for me.
What I said wasn't wrong. If you got your panties in a twist, it's not my fault.
Mr.
Is essentially what it was. And he addressed that. He was like, oh, and yeah, people want to bring up the fact that I stole credit cards in college. We've dealt with that. We've moved on for it. You're the only ones that care. No. A lot of people remember you did that. It's an example of bad decision making.
Right.
And when you make bad decisions and then you go on and you make bad hot takes and tweet them and insult the guy who just said, I'm giving up my life's passion because I'm in pain, and call him a millennial, that's another bad decision.
You know what? If he wants to go out and get sacked as many times as Andrew Luck did, we'll see how he feels.
Yes. Here's my advice to that particular analyst, and I know he doesn't listen to us because he's too high and mighty to think that anybody other than his own ass cares. But do not go to the city of Indianapolis ever again. You will not be received warmly, and there's a pretty good chance that you will suffer enough head injuries to equal the number of sacks that Andrew Luck had to take in his career. So yeah, but beyond that, I think the guy works with Troy Aikman. When Troy Aikman responds to you and the first line of his tweet is, that is total bullshit, you know you're done. You're done. So, all right, more news and notes. Lamar Miller tore his ACL, out for the year. And this...
It was not caused by Duke Johnson, just so everyone knows.
Well, not that we know of. Duke Johnson's ADP did go up. This past weekend was the start of the Fantasy Football World Championship draft cycle. And there's some that take place before, but this is like their main 2 weekends, is last weekend and this weekend upcoming. And they said instantly from drafts from Friday to Saturday night, Duke Johnson moved up about 15 spots in ADP. So not even just among running backs. Overall, he was moving up the board in ADP after the Lamar Miller injury. There is now a rumor that Miami is talking to Houston in an effort to get Jadeveon Clowney into Miami.
I heard that this morning.
And the Dolphins are offering their choice of Kenny Stills or Kenyon Drake.
Oh, really? I thought they wanted offensive linemen.
They do. But the Dolphins are saying, you're really comfortable with Duke Johnson? We can send you Kenyon Drake. Look around your division, son. It ain't getting better. I mean, who else in that division? The Colts, the Texans, the Titans.
So now is John Watson the top quarterback in that division?
Probably. Who's the fourth team? Who am I forgetting in that division? Texans, Titans, Colts, somebody else in the AFC South. Is that the AFC North or South? That's the South, right?
Jags.
Jacksonville. Oh, God, yes. And yes. I'm going to say this, and this is not a positive endorsement. Tennessee is right now probably the best team in that division right now.
Oh, dear God.
And that's not an endorsement. That's an acknowledgement that they have probably just become the worst division in all of football. So Houston's got to be thinking, if I can replace Lamar Miller, if I can get my pieces on the offense healthy, and I can keep Deshaun Watson upright, I can win this division pretty easily right now. So I think it makes sense to go out and get Kenyon Drake. If you're Houston, do you go out and get Kenyon Drake?
I think you may have to, because who else do they have? What happens if something happens to Duke?
There's nobody.
Then they're kind of stuck.
There's nobody. I could not even tell you, because Alfred Blue is in Jacksonville now. Hold on a second. I'm going to look.
Yeah, because I was going to say Blue's gone, so I don't know who's there.
It's probably a name we know, but it's a name we could not say off the top of our heads.
Buddy Howell?
Are you looking at it, or are you guessing?
No, I'm looking at it.
All right, so I was wrong. I don't know that name.
Joe Webb, who's also the quarterback.
Oh, Joe Webb. Is it the same Joe Webb? Joe Webb the third?
Maybe.
Oh, no, Joe Webb the third is listed under quarterback. Josh Ferguson. It's Buddy Howell and then Josh Ferguson.
Well, he also has 84 yards rushing, so.
So there you go. So your third string quarterback, because A.J. McCarron's there too. So Joe Webb is the third quarterback on that team. Your clipboard holder is probably your second best running. That you got a problem. You got problems galore there. So, but yes, I think they're going to have to make a move. So other news, minor one. Just want to see how you feel about this. Jake Butt, Denver. They're saying he's going to undergo a minor knee procedure due to soreness in his left knee.
Minor knee procedures.
So yeah, there you go. Yeah, I just had a little heart attack, or I just lost a few limbs. No, Bud has experienced soreness in his left knee, and it triggers the procedure. He has, ready for this, 3 ACL surgeries already.
Yeah, draft Noah Fant. Just saying.
So there's my question to you: is Jake Butt even considerable?
Not as of right now. The week before the season starts, no.
Yep. If you don't get Noah Fant, you're looking for tight end elsewhere.
Yeah,
and you're talking
tight end in Denver.
You're talking to a guy who is slowly but surely buying stock in Joe Flacco. I just
he is captain game manager. So.
And that's actually, I think, what Denver needs right now.
It is.
I do. I think I go back to what I said last week. I saw him unload a pass to Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders played the DB like a fiddle, and if it had not been a holding call on it, would have nailed the big gain. And everyone complains, oh, well, offenses in the preseason are so vanilla. If that's vanilla, then I want to try every flavor in the rainbow. Yeah. I want to try a sundae.
Where you're from.
Exactly. Shots, sprinkles, jimmies. I don't care what you call it. Give me them all. Give me them all. All right. Other news. Anthony Servino, who is a correspondent for the LA Chargers. I almost said San Diego. I almost said it.
Just say California Chargers.
So Anthony Servino talked to Eric Williams. And Eric Williams is a beat writer for the Chargers. And he is saying, ready for this, quote, he has a hunch, end quote, that Melvin Gordon will be back for week 1. Do you think Melvin Gordon is about to fold his cards and show up to camp? And does this change anything for you?
If they drive a dump truck of money up to his house, which is what he wants.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it, especially now with what's going on with Zeke.
Yes.
I can see the Chargers making sure that he's on the field by, I'll say, week 2.
Well, this guy says he could be there for week 1.
Because I don't know what Melvin Gordon's doing, so I don't know if he's gonna be ready for week 1. So
Well, what was it? Who was it who was working out with
Marshall Faulk.
Marshall Faulk?
It's
Who
like
was working with Zeke?
Zeke and Cabo.
And Zeke supposedly looks really, really good. Now, here's the problem with all these rumors. Who's
They're
telling
rumors.
us? Yeah, who's telling us Zeke is looking good? His agent. His agent. Zeke could be sitting there stuffing ho-hos down his face in a train-like format, and he's still going to say Zeke looks fantastic because that's what helps his cause. So whenever somebody says, "Oh, he's working out with Marshall Faulk," does that mean they're running 2 trains of ho-hos? Is Marshall Faulk sitting there going, "I can down twice as many as you can, dude. Man up"? We don't know.
Do you think Drew Rosenhaus is the cause to most issues?
When it comes to wide receivers, from last week, I do.
Yeah.
I think Drew Rosenhaus feeds a lot of egos, and again, this is the problem with modern sports. Egos are fed from like the age of 8.
Yes.
People are in your ear. You're going to play for this. You're going to make this. You're going to make that. And these people build them up to the point where for like 20 years, they hear you're great. So what do you learn? You're in Pee Wee football, and this guy's in your ear. Oh my God, you're amazing. You're the next superstar. Then your high school coach is like, you're going to work hard and you're going to be the next superstar. Then 7 colleges are battling for you. Oh my God, that's an ego feeder. Then you get invited to draft night. What an ego feeder. You get to go out on stage and you hold up a jersey and they tell you you're going to make millions. It's just an ego feeding machine. So by the time you're 20 years old, you've had at least 10 years of people telling you you're amazing. You're going to do crazy, amazing things. It's just feeding egos.
Yeah.
Oh, it drives me nuts. Let's talk about Zeke for a second, though.
So
after the "we don't need Zeke" and "I'm not staying in Dallas" war, a peaceful moment broke out where everyone was like, "Oh, we want Zeke on our team. We're going to make sure." Jerry Jones went so far as to say that Jerry Jones Cowboys will make sure that Dak Prescott, presented by Jerry Jones, Ezekiel Elliott, represented by Jerry Jones, and Amari Cooper with Jerry Jones will all be under contract before the end of Jerry Jones's year. He went on record. He said he was going to get this done. Now, all of a sudden, we hear today, there's nothing. There's no deadline for a new deal. There is no progress. Jerry Jones said
he's going to take Jerry Jones' time.
Yeah. Jerry Jones said, quote, "We have to be prepared to play without any given player. We may very well play without a player that's not coming in on his contract. We'll play and we'll play well," end quote, attributed to Jerry Jones by Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I mean, technically he's not wrong. I mean, all teams should be prepared to replace one of their starters. Something happened. If they're not, then that's bad management.
But you know what? You know what else is bad management? Managing through the press. And that is what this situation has become. And not only is it bad management to manage through the press, but the message keeps freaking changing. Oh my God, it's like, and I'm not going to go political on here, but I hate our current administration because they change their mind every 3 minutes.
Correct.
That's what Jerry Jones is doing. Jerry Jones is 1 minute is like, "We need Zeke. He's going to be under contract. Don't worry, I got this." 5 minutes later with a different reporter, he's like, "Well, you got to be ready to move on from anybody. I mean, you never know." What the hell is it? Do you need him? Do you want him? Or what? You send so many mixed messages through your precious media that no one knows what you think anymore. Pick a direction and go with it and be consistent. Show your players, show the other guys on the roster you are being consistent in your message because that will stick with them when it's their turn on the block. And let's see. Oh, Dak Prescott is next. Oh, Amari Cooper, who you traded for and then said, "Don't worry, we'll work out a deal," is in line after that. And I don't even know who else needs another contract, but I'm sure there's an offensive lineman on the Cowboys right now saying to himself, "Crap, I'm not getting a dime." You've got to be consistent.
That is true. I mean, there's really nothing to add to that. You're right.
The only thing Jerry Jones is consistent about is self-promotion.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, and winning another Super Bowl.
Which he hasn't done in 20 years. When was the last Cowboy Super Bowl? Like 2001?
It involved Troy Aikman, I think.
And Troy Aikman's been in the booth for a decade. Okay? Emmitt Smith is not walking through that door.
You wish he was.
You wish he was. So, all right, one last thing, and then we got to do final thoughts. So, Craig, tell me a little bit. You've been negotiating an agreement with some folks at a site called Sunday Swim. They want to partner with us to promote some of the stuff that they do. Tell me about Sunday Swim. What is this? What are we doing with them?
So, do I get the right thing? Okay. So basically, what we plan on doing, starting September 4th, which is next Wednesday.
Okay.
God, it's already September.
Yes.
We're going to create a public league with them. So this app/website is called Sunday Swim.
Okay.
It's a free league, and they do basically, and it doesn't cost any money to join. It doesn't cost you anything to play.
Free to sign up, free to join, free to create.
Correct. So basically, what happens is you're betting on games involving the spread.
Oh.
And you get.
So this is not like strict fantasy like we're used to doing. This is a little different.
This is like if you went to a casino or Vegas, and you wanted
which
to
we can't.
Right. Which we can't technically legally do in Connecticut yet. Maybe
right. So this is nice.
Right. So you get X amount of fantasy credits to spend throughout the season. And once you hit 0, you're out. So what we're going to do, basically, we're going to try to get 100 people, or up to 100 people, signed up between September 4th and 7th.
So what you're telling me is that this is a site that's doing a different kind of weekly fantasy, where you go in and you bet against the Vegas lines using fake points. There's no money involved in this.
It's just, just because.
Yeah, it's just for fun and for shits and giggles. So you're going to go in, we're going to create a league for our listeners, probably something called like the Football Fignuts League. We're going to promote it, and anybody who wants to come on and just play the lines can just join us in the league and play.
Right. And whoever finishes first gets bragging rights. That's what it is.
Right. No money involved, bragging rights only. Just come on and have a good time. This sounds like a nice little alternative to the daily grind of fantasy football. I mean, because season long and DFS require a lot of unique attention.
They do.
This sounds like the kind of thing that I would sign up just to say, I really think the Dolphins are going to kill the Jets this week, so I'm going to throw 10 points on the Dolphins and see what happens.
Exactly. So you're sitting there, doing some pregame at 12:30. You're like, let me just throw in some pretend bets just for the hell of it.
And do I understand this correctly? Leagues are up to 100 people?
Yes.
So the first 100 people, or up to 100 people, who want to do this with us can follow the link that's going to come out on the afternoon of September 4th. We'll publicize the crap out of it. We will put it on our website. We'll put it on our Facebook. We will put it on our Twitter. And I'll give you all those addresses in a second. You can also visit it. I think it's sundayswim.com. And if you go to leagues and the public leagues, you'll find our link there. But if you want to just come and do this, fantastic. I know they're offering they're offering some sort of prize for the leagues that fill first. I ain't worried about that. This is just something cool and fun and different for us to do. I mean, every podcast does listener leagues. We haven't yet. We tried it. We thought about doing it last season. We decided not to. But this is kind of a cool, different thing. I'm actually pretty excited about this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do, because a lot of people don't. I've realized this talking to other people I've done fantasy leagues.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand. Like, you and I think it's easy to understand because we've been this for so long. Like, people don't understand the point spread.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a totally weird thing to them. So I say
it's not a natural system.
No, it's not. So, like, the Eagles are playing the Redskins, and the Redskins are getting 10 points. That totally blows people's minds. They're like, what the hell do you mean 10 points? I'm like, well, you pretend the game started, and the Redskins automatically have 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what? Yeah, so...
So again, September 4th is the key day, and it's a limited open period. I think you have to do it by September 7th. Is that right?
Yeah, by Saturday, but I'm not sure.
It looks like it's midnight. I'm looking at the email now. So you only have 4 days to get on this, folks. 4 days. So we will be back next week on, by the time you'll hear us, we'll be halfway through the registration period, but we will promote it as soon as that link becomes available to us. On September 4th, we will tweet it at FignutsDFS. We will put it out on our webpage, which is fignutsdfs.com.
There you
Man,
go.
2 beers in. Um, we will put it anywhere we can and all of our Facebook, all that fun stuff. Come play with us. If it's free and there's no obligation and there's no prizes on the line, let's just have a good time with betting some football games because there's no money involved, so it's not considered any sort of gambling. We don't have to worry about gambling laws.
Right.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, I say let's do it.
Absolutely. I'm down with this. I'm excited. Now that I've heard the details about it, I'm really excited about it because I just thought it was like another, why don't you host your league with us? You guys have a listeners league. This sounds like a lot of fun and just something we can do because I'll be the first one. I'm probably the first one out of points. I'm the first one. I'm the first one to hit 0 in this little. As good as I am at DFS, and I think I'm pretty good.
Giving 37. Let's do it.
Holy crap! The Chiefs can't win by 37. Final score is 43-2. The Chiefs defense make an outstanding performance, the most dominating Chief performance since 1974. And I'm like, all right, good night, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the season. So, Craig, final thoughts. We're in our last. The next time we sit down, next time we sit down, keep in mind we'll be talking Week 1 DFS.
That's bananas.
This is your last chance to tell the people about something that has nothing to do with the actual season.
Nothing to do with the actual season?
Doesn't have to be. I'm just saying.
This Green Island Tropical IPA is really good, and I wish I brought another one up here with.
Are you still on the first one?
No, I finished it a while ago, but I brought one up.
I did. I ran this along. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I prepared. Good. I brought a Shipyard, and you know what else? I brought another beer in with me.
Oh.
Do you know what that beer is, Craig?
What is it?
It's Rosemary's Baby. Any excuse to play the music right there.
That's right.
It's Rosemary's Baby. Which, by the way, I'm changing jobs inside of my agency. I'm getting a mild promotion, and my thank you. My outgoing team decided they wanted to give me a gift, and they gave me a gift card to Two Roads.
You know what? If there's one gift to give you,
that's it.
That would be it.
That's it. And my first thought was, you know what? I'm not going to the bar and drinking this. I'm going in. I'm going to get a case of Rosemary's Baby and drive it home and just enjoy it the whole season.
Or do you save it for holiday ale? Oh no.
Oh man, you can't ask me those deep life questions when I'm 2 beers in. All right, so my final thought, because we're going to wrap this up because we're almost, believe it or not, we've been talking for almost an hour.
Wow.
I mean, we've got plenty of time. It's not the issue of time. It's just, I've just run out of things to say and my beer is empty. I just wanted to send a loving shout out to our dear friend Sean, our dear friend and contributor Sean. My final thought is to him. Sean's family is in the process of losing a dear family member, someone who has been with them through thick and thin, who has fallen on ill times and is unfortunately not probably going to be with us much longer. So when the Fignuts family suffers a loss, we all suffer it together. And so I just want to, send a shout out and some positive words to him and his family. I know he doesn't listen all the time, but I know there's actually a member of his family that does. So more likely, it's kind of funny that a family member would listen more than a contributor, but here we are. Best wishes to you guys. We're thinking of you. We will keep you on our thoughts and prayers going forward. So in the meantime, best wishes to all of those folks. For all of you listening, I've already given you out the contact info. If you want to email us, we are fignutsdfs at gmail.com, at fignutsdfs on Twitter. We are the Football Fignuts Podcast on Facebook. We will be back next week, and next week is go time, folks. Starting next week, our release schedule shifts again. We shift back to Thursdays because the Thursday games will be starting the week after. When's the first Thursday game?
I'll look it up.
Is it that week, or do we have a week in between?
I think we have a week.
Okay, so we may not have Week 1 DFS next week. I may be off on the schedule by a week. I apologize for that. I go based off the schedule I put together. I never go off of the actual calendar. I thought it was the Thursday after Labor Day that started, but maybe I'm a week off.
Give me a moment. Please stand by.
Please stand by. So if you drafted this weekend, this last weekend was National Draft Weekend. If you drafted...
Wait. Sorry, the season starts September 5th, technically.
All right, so that's next Thursday.
There you go. Yes. That's
a week from that. Yeah, we record on Wednesday, so that's a week from tomorrow. So the next time you hear us will be Thursday the 5th. We will release on Thursday. So during the off season, we release on Fridays. During the season, we release on Thursdays. So next week, we will be discussing Week 1 DFS. It's upon us.
It is here. It has
The
arrived.
The 17 most brain-busting weeks of my year have arrived in consecutive fashion. I get so excited for it. By week 5, I'm ready for a nap. By week 10, I'm going to be on a cruise ship. And by week 17, I'm praying for death. But this is what happens. I don't know what you guys are going to do when I go on my cruise ship. I'll be gone for 2 weeks.
We'll have Sean not talking to the mic.
Yeah, you know what? There you go. Put the 3-man booth together and get Sean and Cinch up there. No one will even notice that we don't talk about DFS numbers for a week. So yeah, just again, and I know I'm going on tonight. On top of the final thought, because I did want to send best wishes to our dear friend Sean's family. But just a reminder: once the season begins, we shift into DFS talk. A lot of folks love to tune into us and listen for their draft advice. Stick with us, folks. If you have never done DFS, it's not a bad time to start. We will talk about value plays. We will talk about guys we like. We will talk about guys to avoid. We will help you identify potential players to use in your DFS lineups. So every year we have this tremendous spike in interest. People call us, people write us. Well, they don't call us because we don't give out a phone number. That's the wrong word to use. But they contact us, and then the first week of September, it just stops. Because the draft is over. They're done asking us keeper questions. They're done asking us who they should pick. Just remember, we go beyond that. We are here all year long. We just shift our focus from draft prep into season long and mostly DFS. So even if you don't play DFS, it's useful because you're going to hear the players we're looking at. You're going to hear from us, do I want to start Tevin Coleman over Matt Breida this week? You will hear our rationale for all that stuff. So stick with us. We love the fact that you guys are always with us. Hang out and just let's win some championships together this year.
There you go.
All right. So until then, we'll be back next week. Again, that's a Thursday release day, so we'll be back on September 5th. If you haven't drafted, good luck. If you have drafted, let us know how it went. We'd love to hear from you. Until then, my name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And we are the Football Fignuts Podcast. Take care, everybody.